guys good? Need a wipe. Everybody good? All right, thank you guys so much for being here today. This morning you're going to hear from Mayor John Cooper. You'll then hear from Chief Swan, Chief Drake, and Scott Potter with Metro Water Services, and then we will take a few questions. So I'd like to ask the Mayor to give us a briefing.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful to Councilman Brett Withers. We're in his district. But also we have Chief William Swan, Chief John Drake, and Scott Potter from Metro Water here able to answer any questions. Nashville received more than 7 inches of rain over the past 48 hours. Now that is the second highest 2-day rainfall total in our history. And Metro is currently investigating 4 deaths believed to have been caused by the storm. Now that is shocking, and we send our deepest sympathy to the loved ones of those who died. And we'll be able to provide more details about those fatalities once the investigations are concluded. And Metro is working with vulnerable communities across Davidson County, including areas where our homeless neighbors often congregate. And many local waterways are in moderate to major flood stages. First responders are walking creek beds and working with the Red Cross to canvass affected neighborhoods. Now the Cumberland River is at 38.75 feet and is expected to reach flood stage, which is 40 feet, just after 1 p.m. Central Time today, so in about an hour to reach flood stage, and it is estimated to peak at 41.9 feet just after midnight tonight. The Harpeth River passed its 20-foot flood stage at 2:30 a.m. this morning, and it is expected to crest at 27.4 feet by 7 p.m. tonight. Now on Curry Road, south of Glencliff, residents were rescued after being trapped in their attics caused by flash flooding on Mill Creek. And Mill Creek crested at 20.8 feet, the second highest level on record. Nearby, Glendale Elementary, just south of 100 Oaks, has significant floodwater damage in its boiler room at Hillwood High. The cafeteria, auditorium, and several classrooms have standing water. Metro Schools will notify students and their families of any changes to in-person classes. And in South Nashville, more than a dozen people were rescued from a mudslide on Linbar Drive. First responders are asking residents to continue to avoid the following areas. That's 7 Mile Creek and Mill Creek in Antioch, I-24 near Harding Place, Browns Creek at the Fairgrounds and Dudley Park, Harpeth Creek in Bellevue, and Richland Creek near Charlotte Avenue. Metro's Emergency Operations Center activated overnight to coordinate our flood rescue and response attempts. I'm grateful to everyone who has worked tirelessly to respond to this storm, especially, as always, our first responders in the year of first responders. Lessons from the 2010 flood did help us prepare for an improved flood response. Now, these include well-trained, swift water rescue teams and improved real-time information sharing between Metro departments. You can view road closures and restricted areas using the Nashville NERV map. And for viewers at home, at maps.nashville.gov/NERV. This is a very useful tool. And the Nashville Fire Department Special Operations Division has successfully conducted 130 rescues, including 27 swift water rescues. Between midnight last night and 6 a.m. this morning, 911 dispatchers have responded to over 2,400 emergency calls. That's a 40% increase over the same period last week. And also nearly 2,800 non-emergency calls, a 34% increase. They've done an excellent job in helping residents in distress in a timely manner, and there was an average wait time of just 19 seconds. Now, Metro Police held over approximately 100 officers to work through the night, and roughly 1,700 NES customers are still without power, but that is down from 4,600 earlier this morning. NES is working hard to restore service to everyone. If you need emergency assistance, do not hesitate to contact 911 or Metro's non-emergency line at 615-862-8600. If you need help with basic needs, including food, shelter, debris removal, and other Metro Services, contact Hub Nashville by dialing 311 from anywhere in Davidson County. The Bellevue Community Center and Southeast Community Center in Antioch have been open to help residents in these areas that saw severe flooding. Now, all Metro COVID-19 testing sites and vaccine appointments will be held as scheduled. The Music City Center vaccination site is open today. Call 615-862-7777 if you have any COVID-related questions. As always, Nashvillians help one another during difficult times. This is no exception. And please mask up, reach out, and lend your neighbors a helping hand. And do remember to avoid driving through flooded roads and keep yourself safe. And thank you. And now I both want to thank and turn this over to our next speaker, Chief William Swan. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Most of my response statements will be similar to what the mayor has put out. Weather event, the first thing we try to do is be pre-prepared for it. Our swift water teams, our urban rescue teams, special op teams, along with the Office of Emergency Management. We put our swift water teams on standby, knowing that this event would the possibilities, and of course the weather didn't let us down. If you look at simple numbers, I know the mayor gave you quite a bit of information, but just from 7 o'clock this morning to night, which started about 10:30, we have about 251. It took onto these events along with our emergency response and water rescue. The teams responded bravely to rescue people not only from their homes and cars, also to make sure that they go to known areas, residents that may live. We have animal rescue with one of the local dog housing place called Bow Wow, which was over 40 dogs that were rescued and moved. We made 71 transports to the hospital for flooding. And again, all this does is to show the nature of the Office of Emergency Management and, of course, the fire department. The mayor gave a lot of details about being cautious and aware, and even though it looks beautiful outside, we still want people to be cautious and stay aware, stay alert, stay alive. We also are working with our partners right now from the Office of Emergency Management. We're working with the CRC, Hands on Nashville, Red Cross. We're going out into the local neighborhoods. Police, because of the flood, they'll be giving a place to stay. As the mayor noted, we did open a couple of community centers. I want to note these are not a place where we're going to be doing housing, but it's just a place where people can come, get a cup of coffee or relax. We understand everybody's anxiety. Right now, we feel pretty good about where we're at as far as the city. We'll constantly be monitoring and keeping everyone up to speed with what's going on. Just keep a lookout for our briefings. Other than that, we just ask that everyone help us out. Again, just stay alert, stay alive. Even though some of the cliche things that we say, turn around, don't drown, it's very important that you understand we don't just say it to be saying it. So again, help us, help you by being safe. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Scott Potter, Director of Metro Water Services. First and foremost, I want to reinforce the fact that both water plants are safe. I've been to both facilities this morning, and although the river is up, it looks a little bit alarming, I'll say that. but we've made a lot of improvements since May 2010, and we're very comfortable with where the river is at this point. I want to toss some numbers out at you to kind of give you an idea where we are relative to May 2010. So the mayor mentioned that we're going to peak at the downtown gauge here at 42 feet. Now that's a measurement above mean sea level based on 367.14 base elevation at the gauge. So what that means is we're going to peak at 42. During the flood, we were at 52. So we've got 10 feet of clearance between what we're forecasting now with the Corps and with the Weather Service and what we had in May 2010. Secondly, right across the river here at the base of Broadway, there's a storm drain that's at about 415.1 feet above elevation. Right now, the river's at 406. So we've got several feet between where the river is right now and the lowest storm drain at the base of Broadway. So if we get to about 414, 415, then I start to get worried, but we have plenty of room between where we are now and where we start to have an issue with the elevation downtown. We measure all of our risk factors based on this gauge downtown. So to get into trouble at Omohundro, the elevation at the gauge downtown has to be at 51, and at KR, Harrington out in Donaldson, it has to be at 55. So we have plenty of room in the river for additional storage. I'm completely comfortable and confident with how the Corps is managing the releases. We've been in great communication with the Corps, great communication with the Weather Service. I'm completely comfortable with how the river is behaving and the forecasted behavior of the river from the Weather Service and the releases by the Corps. One of the things I want to mention is the SAFE program. The mayor mentioned the NERV program that we can get real-time information from. The SAFE program is what feeds that information to NERV, and that gives us a real-time ability to forecast the stream levels throughout the county. Our ability to do that is based on Metro Planning and Metro IT's expertise in building that tool for us, and specifically Jennifer Higgs. Because without that level of expertise, we would not be able to do what we do. So in summary, the water plants are fine. They're producing really good water. I'm not concerned about the river levels, and I'm going to monitor them very closely. So thank you. Now I introduce Chief Drake.
Good afternoon. The police department has worked really closely with all other metro departments, especially the Office of Emergency Management, also the water company. Last night I received a call that the weather was going to be particularly adverse and that we needed to go into protocols to try to keep everyone safe. And so I sent out an email to the police department to make sure we were prepared to go to historical sites where we have flooding, to make sure we put out barricades to protect our citizens, also to put the word out, see something, say something. The officers were very busy overnight. We used over 100 officers in addition to what's normally staffed for our police department. We had numerous rescues, etc. Just at about 9 a.m., 7 Mile Creek has claimed right now 3 lives. At 9 a.m., just behind the Walmart at Murphy on Nolensville Road and Harding, there was a 70-year-old man that was found deceased. And then just at 9 a.m. also, a citizen checking a homeless camp found 2 other individuals. It was a 46-year-old woman and a 64-year-old man, both are deceased. We still have ongoing efforts looking in this campsite to see if is there any more fatalities that'll be ongoing today. We do have aviation up. We do have working with OEM except to see if we can locate any more. In addition to that, at 7:25 this morning, we found a 65-year-old man at Nashville golf course. He'd been submerged in water as well. And so we'll continue. We have 10 fixed posts right now. We're working with the Sheriff's Department and trying to keep everyone safe. And just as Chief Swan said, we're not out of the woods yet. This is still ongoing, although the water is particularly, may not be as eventful today. We still have to pay attention to it. I ask that if you don't have apps on your phones, to download those apps so we can, so you can keep up with this information real time. You don't have to depend on what we're putting out. You can get it. And we also had an officer that was injured. Fortunately, it was a water rescue of the officer and a citizen. Officer on his way home last night was swept away by currents. Officer Hedrick Kruger, and he's currently recovering in the hospital as we speak. But he was able to get out of his car. He was clinging to a tree for safety till he was rescued. There was a citizen that also tried to save Officer Kruger and wound up being stranded as well, and we had to rescue him. So thank you to those citizens, and thank you to all of Nashville who we continue to rise to the cause when we have these type of tragic incidents. Thank you.
Let's take a few questions. Thank you, Chief Greg. Kenneth, do you want to take the first question for us?
Nice to hear that there was some pre-staging ahead of this event. Were there any areas where you wish you had gone but you didn't out?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, and we felt like the preparation, when you hindsight's 2020, of course, but the actions that we took was prepping before the event. We knew of what we knew of the homeless camps, but again, those grow every day. So from the areas that we were aware of, we had teams that were constantly monitoring that. As far as all the creeks that we know have history of that's coming out of the bed, we had creeks there, we had crews there that's actually monitoring as well. So I think the response that we did in preparation was spot on. But of course, this is a natural event, and it's unpredictable. And if we could turn back the hands of time, you know, I'd have more, of course, fire, more OEM, more public works, more. Well, I'm sure the mayor would. And preparation is always a key for us.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question for you, Chief Swan, as well. We have a crew at that location in South Nashville, that creek across from the Walmart on Owensville Road. And apparently a family there was told last night that rescue crews are going to come back to them, and they never did. They were also told that they could not take any pets. Is that true? Do you have any comments on that?
I don't have any comments on that because I've not heard of that. But again, if our crews responded to someone that was in distress, I wouldn't see that they would leave them in distress. So I'm not sure. I've not heard of it. But if we're responding to a call, the nature of us being there is because of that call, then we would not leave it unless we took care of it. So not heard anything about that. Well, as I said, the Camp Bow Wow, which is a sheltering of dogs, we actually assisted with moving. I think it was 40 to 50 dogs that we moved. But again, and that was done very successful.
You're always learning. I think the emergency, I've spent the morning at the Emergency Operations Center. I think they feel that we're much improved from 2010. Now, are we good enough? Each emergency is different. Where the rainfall is heaviest, where the creeks flood are going to be different. It's a little bit hard to prepare perfectly for a natural event, which is so uneven in terms of where that extra torrent comes down. The loss of life, once we complete the investigations, is a deeply disturbing fact, and I know that's going to inform us in how to do this better. And I don't have the facts right now to understand why we lost those lives exactly, but I'm counting on our emergency departments to have a very thorough analysis and then to step back and then try to make it even better, make this a learning experience. We are grateful, and we're standing here on the shore to realize that this is not 2010, but the 7-inch rain Are we in a world where we have to anticipate that more frequently than every 10 or more years? And are we ready for 10 inches? Should that happen? Are we ready for this event to happen again? And I'm going to challenge my colleagues in Metro government to have a response that's appropriate to the kind of climate conditions that we seem to be entering into.
All right, let's
Thank you.
take two more. One from Sam and then Bob. Also for the mayor, are you considering taking office of resilience, just given all the extreme weather?
Well, I think all the Metro government needs to be an office of resilience. But I'm going to count on Scott Potter and Warder to look again at our preparations for these kind of events, thinking that they're not once in a lifetime, but now they may be once in a decade kind of. From this, but thank you. The rescues.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? Well, at this point in time, if it's and we have our the Red Cross, along with, again, Hands On Nashville, some other partnerships that we have. We'll make an evaluation on anyone. It doesn't have to be just the people at the apartment complex, but we'll make the evaluation. If they need a place to stay, then that will be provided for them. A secondary stationary place that they already have put into their plan. But